Team investigation, more than $76,000 in stolen funds from Springfield Township firefighters and their union. That's the allegation in a new indictment against the former treasurer of the union. And tonight, a closer look at what those dollars were used for. Team reporter Sean Hegarty on the story, standing by live with those details tonight. Sean.
Lee, to be clear, these are not taxpayer dollars. These dollars belong to the firefighters and their union, and there are a lot of dollars missing.
Union members of the Springfield Township Fire Department had concerns about missing money from their funds. An investigation by the Lucas County Sheriff's Office alleges that it had been going on since 2017. That investigation centered around Jeff Van Drome, who was the treasurer of the fire department's union. He resigned in January and was indicted by a Lucas County grand jury Tuesday on 2 counts of grand theft. The report from the sheriff's office shows Van Drome is accused of stealing nearly $59,000 from the fire department's union fund. According to the report, there are dozens and dozens of cash withdrawals, and where the cash went is not known. Van Drome also accused of stealing what are called house funds from Station House 56. The loss estimated there at nearly $18,000. Investigators found lots of unauthorized charges over several years to places like Amazon, Sam's Club, and some cash transactions. The report also mentions the Baby Box Project. That's a space designed for someone to safely leave their baby at a Springfield Township fire station. The union told investigators that there were $1,900 raised for the project that was not deposited into the union fund. Van Drome was confronted about the money at a union meeting in January. He admitted to making wrong choices and said he'd replace the money.
I did speak briefly on the phone with Van Drome today. He said he did not want to make any comments. He's due in court, Lee, on May 1st.